Thank you, Eileen. And I'm a bit embarrassed because your pronunciation is much better than mine. So for this fireside chat, I'm delighted, of course, to have Christina and Peter with me. Christina, I will try. Wejshammar is the head of payment departments at the Sveriges Riksbank, where she's been active for over 20 years and have a wealth of expertise in that area. And today, Christina is also leading the department where the cross-currency work is conducted. And next to her, virtually, we have Peter Storgaard, who is the assistant governor in Denmark, and he's also head of the financial stability in the Denmark Nationalbank. Peter has also spent, I think, 20 years or more in the central bank in Denmark. And since 2021, he is the head of the financial stability department, performing tasks such as financial regulation, oversight, and payment systems. And as mentioned previously, both by Ulrich and myself, TIPS is a multi-currency system, today settling in euro and in Swedish krona. And from April next year, it will also include the Danish krona, as the Danmarks National Central Bank is set to join TIPS. And with these three currencies on board, and actually more to come, as you heard, Norway, the Norwegian krona, and probably Iceland joining at some point in time, there is a strong business case for the implementation of such cross-currency service amongst the TIPS hosted currencies. And today I want to discuss the opportunities that you see of the cross-currency services from your market perspective. And again, thank you to both of you for joining. And let's start with the first question. Maybe I should have started by asking if we can hear you well, Christina and Peter. Can you say a word?
Yes, good afternoon.
Okay, good afternoon, Christina and Peter.
And good afternoon from my side as well.
Good afternoon. So my first question will be to both of you. So can you please elaborate on your strategic considerations for joining, well, first TIPS, but also the TIPS cross-currency project? And maybe we can start with Christina.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Dimitri, and thank you for inviting me today to this focus session. So this is a project that we've been working on together for some time now, and it feels relevant, useful, and interesting to reach out to participants in the banking industry as well about this project. And with a large number of participants here today, I interpret there to be a certain interest as well. So our strategic considerations, well, in recent years, also the Riksbank has taken a pretty active role in the international work on improvement cross-border payments, both within the international framework, but also when we realized that with this initiative, we could actually contribute further to this objective in our capacity as a provider of infrastructure services. It felt very natural to team up with you at the ECB, with Banca d'Italia and the National Bank in Denmark later on. And during the project, I would say that the rationale of the service has become stronger, I would say. With the instant payment regulation, for example, a service that facilitates instant payment in euro has been requested by many banks in the Nordics. And adding more currencies, like the Danish one, has obviously made it more attractive as well. And most recently, we've seen commercial use cases in the Nordics that could most likely benefit from such a cross-currency service in TIPS. Now, there will be a more detailed walkthrough of the service later, so I will not go very far along that route. But the whole concept of being able to offer your customers instant payment services in a broad range of currencies from your local TIPS account only should be attractive to many payment service providers, I believe. And then there are the other benefits of the service, which we will be learning about a little later. So that would be my key takeaways, Dimitri.
Yeah, thank you, Christina. And maybe the same question to you, Peter. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Dimitri, and also thank you from my side for the invitation. I'm happy to be here. So as already mentioned, we will join the TIPS in April 25, and also we will also join T2, which is the wholesale payment system in Europe. We'll migrate our own RTGS system Kronos 2 to target. And just to start with sort of the overall ambition here, it really is from our side to benefit from the efficiency and alignment with international standards that comes out of being part of this common system. We also expect and look forward to being part of a strong community with ensuring IT security and resilience for the Danish financial market. So that's what we hope to get out of being part of T2S, T2, and TIPS from next year. So that's sort of the wider strategic consideration from our side. When it comes to instant payments, this is something we already have in Denmark. It works well. It's efficient. We started 10 years ago in 2014. But this is, of course, still only instant payments in Danish krone. And we do not yet have instant payments between the Nordic countries and with the euro area. So from the Danish Central Bank side, our goal here is to basically to enable better services to Danish citizens and companies. And that also holds here with respect to cross-border payments. As has already been mentioned, this is often somewhat behind in the development of payments when it comes to service levels being offered to consumers. It is just more difficult with the cross-currency payments. So, but given the multi-currency design of the TIPS platform, the way it's aligned with European standards regulations, we believe that the TIPS cross-currency service is really a very good tool to achieve better payment service to Danish companies, to Danish citizens for these cross-border instant payments. So that's our background for joining this TIPS cross-currency project. And we are very happy to be in the project together with the Riksbank and the ECB. Thanks.
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Peter. You mentioned rightly that in April next year you will be joining for TIPS, but as well for T2. But you forgot to mention that you are already active with the third target service, T2S, for the security settlement in your capacity as central bank already since many years, so since 2018, if I'm not wrong. Thank you to both for your for sharing your views on at the strategic level. Maybe another question to Christina. The Riksbank started settling instant payments in Swedish krona in TIPS since February 2024. And now we are working together on the implementation of the cross-currency functionality. You explained already the high-level vision behind that, but can you share with us a bit more on the use cases that you see for the Nordic in the Nordics for such a service?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we'd be happy to. So just like in Denmark, in Sweden, instant payments has been in use for many years, more than 10. So Swedish citizens are used to using their mobile phone and paying instantly to each other. I'd like to come back to the fact that the TIPS cross-currency is, first of all, an infrastructure service. I'd like to emphasize that. So basically, we are laying down the rails for others, so the payment service providers, to develop the actual services that will be offered to end users, payers, and PEs. So there will be no benefits to end users unless PSPs show their ability to be innovative based on the cross-currency service in TIPS as a foundation. And here I am optimistic when it comes to use cases. In fact, we've already seen a few commercial offerings or use cases which could leverage on a TIPS cross-currency service, I believe. So what immediately comes to my mind are the various attempts on the European level at creating interoperability between a mobile payment scheme. When these schemes span different currencies, a TIPS cross-currency service could certainly play a role. A case in point from the Nordics is Vipps, which is a Norwegian mobile payment solution, which is also used in Denmark and Finland, and since this autumn also in Sweden. Earlier this year, Vipps started to offer cross-border payments across the Nordics, which is a promising initiative in a region that is already highly integrated. It's also a fairly costly initiative, it's turned out, as Vipps need to rely on the card infrastructure for this specific service. Our understanding is that processing could be improved when a TIPS cross-currency service goes live. Of course, that will depend on the participating bank signing up for the service and some development needed at Vipps, and the banks will also be required. But the rails are there, and the rest will be then up to the mobile payment schemes and the banks. So that's some examples of concrete use cases, and we could see other initiatives along the same lines as well. Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you, Christina, indeed. And maybe now another question to Peter. So you are not yet settling in TIPS. This will come in April next year. And also you are very well deeply involved in the cross currency. In your view, what are the benefits that the market participants can gain in joining the cross currency? But maybe as well, what would be the potential challenges for that?
We don't hear you, Peter. You're muted.
I don't know if...
There you are.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I hope it's better now. Sorry. Okay, so let me start with saying that for us at the central bank, it really is about reaping the full benefits of having joined the T2 and the TIPS platform, that we want to also make use of this TIPS cross-currency service. And just to start one place with the benefits, I think for the Danish banks, the benefit will be the opportunity to actually use the accounts, the liquidity that is in the Danish krone segment of the TIPS platform, the TIPS DKK, to also make cross-border instant payments. So in this setup, you really wouldn't need to set up traditional corresponding banking relations, and you wouldn't need to keep liquidity in the foreign currencies that is in the service. You just need to have a arrangement with the cross-currency PSPs to get the FX rate quote, and then to be part of the TIPS cross-currency service. And to point at another benefit, it really is that, for the Danish banks, that they will be able to use the TIPS DKK and the TIPS cross-currency service in meeting the requirements of the instant payment regulation that will come into effect in 2027 for Danish banks, and will require them to be able to receive and send instant payment in euros if they already handle credit transfers in Europe. So this is really important, we think, and instant payments in euro, that will probably be the largest share of cross-border instant payment for Danish banks, given the size of the euro area. And I think it's important to also be attentive to this possible use case. And I also want to mention again, the advantage and benefits for end users from having this cross-currency service. We think it will make it more available for end users, and it's important for Danish citizens and companies, and will be a sort of a step forward compared to where we are today. And then you also asked about challenges. Are there no challenges in this? And there is challenges and work to be done. I want to mention one challenge here, which is the reachability issue, and I think it has also popped up in some of the questions in the chat. It seems. I think this is a joint responsibility to address this issue, and I'm quite optimistic about it. I think in Denmark there's a good tradition in finding common solutions, common approaches, and we are in a good dialogue with the Danish banking sector. So it's clear that when all join, the benefits will be higher, and that's important to have a focus on that. So I'll stop here. Thank you, Dimitri.
Yes, thank you, Peter. I think 20 minutes is very short, but I think we just have the time for me to ask you maybe one last question, and then we can be short on that. How do you see the TIPS cross-currency evolve over time and contributing further to the enhancement of cross-border payments? This is, as many of us mentioned already, this is very topical in the G20. We know the service as it is currently shaped, but how would you see that evolve over time? Maybe Christina, you can start.
Thank you. So that's going to be very interesting to follow, of course, and that connects a lot to what Peter mentioned about the reachability aspect. And I think we should be clear about the realistic trajectory for the TIPS cross-currency service. So that I would foresee payment service providers to join the service successively. That is expecting a massive take-up from go live in October is not very probable, I believe, but that the service definitely has the potential to radically change cross-border payments, even though not from day one. It will be an evolution rather than a revolution, I believe, and I'm sure that this is a direction that payments is going in. That being said, I hope that many of you at this focus session will consider to be among the ones to break the ice, to be the first ones. That's important. And with the network effects that are at play, this requires a certain effort and commitment. I understand that. At the same time, taking into account how this service will impact corresponding banking relationships, there could also be some early mover advantages, which I know that you are fully aware of. And then maybe to conclude from my side, we have great expectations for this service, which we see as a possible future gateway for instant payments across currencies. We think that the service could fill an important gap in the infrastructure for cross-border payments. I hope that you see it in the same way and that you will connect to the service for the benefit of your customers. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you indeed, Christina. And Peter, on your side?
Well, let me start with just agreeing with Christina on the way forward, and we know that it's an ambitious timeline, and perhaps not everything needs to happen on October 1st, 2025, but really getting the process started will be important. So, and let me just also recall that, we'll start out with the euro area, with Sweden, those currencies already in there. Norway expected to join, hopefully Iceland at some point. So really for Danish banks, for Danish customers, the possibility of reaching neighboring countries quite soon with this service is really there. So that should be a positive also for citizens, for companies. And you also mentioned in the introduction the sort of wider perspectives of getting further into the world later on. I think those perspectives are also important to keep in mind. So thanks a lot from my side, and I hope this session has sort of given a bit more insight into our thinking in this. Thanks.
Yes, I'm sure it did. And again, we are reaching here the end of this fireside exercise. And thank you, Christina and Peter.